Hi there, this is Solitude Ronin and welcome to Solitude Ronin Films, and welcome to part 1 of a 7-part series on directors. This was inspired by Nazrin Productions. He kind of does a series on directors. It's times like this that you maybe wish you only like 2 directors. So this is going to be a 7-part series, and it's going to feature directors in different categories, as you can see on the screen. So I'm going to be doing solid technicians, kind of directors that always produce decent work, sometimes very good work, but never reach the kind of highs of the great directors, and also never reach the lows of bad directors. That doesn't mean that these guys will be like mediocre or anything, but they just have a kind of consistent level. Then I'll be doing indie legends, which are directors that maybe don't have mainstream appeal, but they still manage to do the films that they want to do, and they're of a certain quality. I mean, all these directors are going to be, at worst, good directors, in my opinion, obviously. Please argue in the comments below, because I'll no doubt miss ones out, and there's ones that I'll be ignorant of, because modern cinema, a lot of it passes me by, so I don't really have that much knowledge on modern cinema. The next category will be flashes of greatness. So it will be directors that maybe have 1 or 2 masterworks, but aren't quite at the highest level. But every now and again, they'll make a really good film. And then one-hit wonders, which is fairly self-explanatory, because when you consider to make a masterpiece or to make a great film, it requires so many elements, from casting, the script, the lighting, editing, the music. It's kind of a strange alchemy to make a great film, because sometimes they might not be the great constituent parts, but somehow it just all comes together to make a great film. And for some directors it just happens once. Again, obviously just in my opinion. And the next is under review, which are directors that I may have only seen 1 or 2 films of. There'll be directors that I've got box sets in my backlog, but I can't really make a judgment on because I haven't seen enough of their stuff. And the next category is next level, and these for me are the top level guys, the guys that have like 4 or more masterpieces, that are literally next level. And then today's video I'm going to do the easiest category, which is future greats, which you could argue there might not be any. The way cinema is today, that might be a fair point, but I've just picked out a few directors that 10, 15 years from now, or 20 years from now, depending on what they do for the rest of their career, they might be in these categories, and certainly a couple of them might be in some of these categories already, but we'll see 10 years from now, if we're all still here, we can look back on this video together and see What happened to these guys? So again, leave your comments below for suggestions, because again, there'll be people that I've missed and forgotten about, or I'm just not aware of, because like I said, I'm not that much into modern cinema. So there's only 6 names on this list. Strangely enough, none of them are American, but again, leave comments below for suggestions, because that's the great thing about doing these YouTube videos. It's learning about new films and new directors, because there's people out there that are way more knowledgeable than I am. So I'm going to start with a Kiwi. He might be more, lightweight. His films might not be about big, deep questions, but the ones that I've seen, I've really liked. Now, quite a few of these names I'm probably going to butcher, so I'll butcher Taika Waititi, his name first. Now, he started out, he made films like Boy and Eagle vs Shark in New Zealand. His next film is called Jojo's Rabbit, which is out late this year, in which he plays Hitler. And it's about a boy who finds that his mother is hiding a Jewish boy, and it is a comedy, and Taika Waititi is actually going to play Hitler himself, but never mind. So he did What We Do in the Shadows, which is essentially Spinal Tap with vampires, and it was fantastic. He also did Hunt for the Wilder People with Sam Neill, which again is just a beautiful little film. It's just fantastic. And he also did Thor Ragnarok, which is the only Thor film that I have. I think it's only one of 2 Marvel films that I have. And again, it's just really entertaining. It's really funny. He gives a good performance himself as a rock person. Jeff Goldblum's fantastic in it. It's just a lighter touch. And I was kind of interested to see what he was going to do after that. Whether he would then just turn into doing mainstream stuff. But like I said, his next film is Jojo's Rabbit. And he's also directing The Mandalorian, Star Wars TV series. So it will be interesting to see where his career goes. But certainly his early work is hugely entertaining and funny. Well, to me anyway. So the next guy I'm going to talk about is Joon-ho Bong, which again, I've probably butchered his name. He did 2003's Memories of Murder, which tragically is not on Blu-ray and really ought to be. And he also did Snowpiercer, which even though it wasn't seen a lot, I thought it was a very good film. John Hurt and Chris Evans, who I don't really like particularly, and Tilda Swinton gives another fantastic, odd performance. And he also did The Host, which is a fun creature feature. So again, early promise, but we'll see down the line where his career goes. But he has potential, I think. The next guy is Canadian, French Canadian, and it's Denis Villeneuve, who again, he is maybe in that kind of mainstream, but his films are intelligent. They are beautifully shot, beautifully scored, and he does kind of tackle kind of bigger ideas. So he's not, he's not popcorn. He is certainly one of the more intelligent kind of directors of just off the mainstream. It is kind of mainstream, but it's just a little bit off the mainstream. And he started with Incendies, or this is one of his early works, Incendies. And he did Enemy. He also did Prisoners with Jake Gyllenhaal. He did Blade Runner 2049, which I was really impressed with. I'm a fan of the first one. One of Ridley Scott's only two decent films. And I was a little bit trepidatious for Blade Runner 2049, but I was pleasantly surprised. It does have a long running time, but it actually flew by. Again, the score's fantastic. It has nods to the 1982 film, but still treads its own path. And it's absolutely beautiful to look at. And I was actually pleasantly surprised with it. And The Arrival. This is the Steelbook version. Which is one of the more intelligent alien visitors coming to Earth films you'll see. And again, it has a really nice look and sound. I mean, that's the thing with today's Hollywood, when you actually have a filmmaker that has a bit intelligence and the source material is a bit, doesn't explain everything, it kind of stands out from the crowd. And he also did Sicario, again, which I really liked. It has a couple issues, but again, it's beautiful to look at. It has wonderful set pieces, and a bit of intelligence. So again, he might not be, talking about big stuff and big things, but all the films that I've seen of his, I've really liked. I suppose Christopher Nolan could possibly be on this list as well. It's funny because I have most of Christopher Nolan's films, but I don't think he's a great filmmaker. I think he's a very good filmmaker. And I kind of think Villeneuve might be in that category as well, looking back 20 years from now. I think he's going to have a certain level of quality of his films. He hasn't made a truly great film yet, but I think there is hope there. The next one is Chan Park. Again, another Korean director. So he has done Tale of Two Sisters, Joint Security Area, amongst other films, obviously. He did Old Boy, so I just don't need an excuse to break out my plain archive editions. Apologies. He also did the Vengeance trilogy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance. And one of his early funny ones, I'm a Cyborg. And most recently, he did The Handmaiden, which I've still to watch. Again, his films are really good. I haven't seen one that I haven't liked. I mean, I think, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure whether any of these directors are going to end up being, in that kind of company of the next level guys. I just think that's the way cinema is nowadays. But I just think these guys have the best chance of possibly doing that. So the next guy is Kim Ji-woon, who the last two that I'm going to talk about I think have the best chance of 20 years from now looking back at their careers and saying these guys are really good. So Kim Ji-woon, amongst his films are The Quiet Family, Doomsday Book, which I'm still to watch, The Good, the Bad and the Weird. Again, I don't need an excuse to show off my Bud Blue Bittersweet Life, because I do just love this film and love this Steelbook edition. A Bittersweet Life is just such a great film. So much so I got the Nova Media edition as well. And this is the Plain Archive Steelbook of I Saw the Devil, which is one of the best serial killer films the last 20 years, with Kim Ji-woon and Choi Min-sik, which again, apologies for butchering his name. And he went to Hollywood to do The Last Stand with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is not a great film. To me, this is him doing a Jean-Pierre Jeunet with Alien Resurrection, just to go to Hollywood and see what it's like working in Hollywood, and hopefully never goes back. But that's how dedicated I am to him. I even have The Last Stand. And The Age of Shadows, which is a beautiful spy film set in the Japanese occupation of Korea, which is just a beautiful, ravishing film, which goes to show that he can do different things. He's not all about crime and gangsters, and The Age of Shadows is an absolutely beautiful film. I highly recommend checking it out. So I think Kim Ji-woon does have a really good chance of being one of those high level guys, depending obviously how his career goes, but it's going to be fascinating to follow his career. So the last director I'm going to talk about, you'll be glad to know, is the one for me is arguably the best director in the world at the moment. No doubt I've completely forgotten somebody, and I apologise. Please let me know in the comments who I've forgotten, because I've got a nagging feeling I've forgotten somebody. And it's Yorgos Lanthimos. He is an acquired taste, but I do think his films are fascinating. His style is fairly unique, and I just can't wait to see what he does in the next 10-15 years. So his early films, Kineta, which is about 3 people who reenact murders, and The Alps, both of which aren't available in Blu-ray yet. Hopefully they will get a Blu-ray release. The Alps is about a group of people who offer a service in which they replace loved ones for families that have died. But Lanthimos being Lanthimos, in both those films he doesn't explain what's going on, which I love about his work, because in these days everything's explained, whereas Lanthimos just doesn't bother. He actually expects the audience to have some intelligence and actually work out what's going on. And then he made Dogtooth, about a family who's isolated from society, which is probably my least favourite out of his first three. But then, for me, he made one of the best films of the last 20 years. Certainly in the top 5, I think. And that's The Lobster. I absolutely love this film. About in the future, you can't be single, you're sent to this hotel, and if you don't pair up with somebody in 40 days, or I can't remember what it's, 40 days, you get turned into the animal of your choosing. Again, not everybody's cup of tea. I think currently in Amazon reviews it's 1.5 stars out of 5. But I just think it's absolutely fantastic. And one of the few modern films I would give 5 out of 5. And then he followed that up with The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which ain't that far off a 5 out of 5. Again, it's another odd film by modern standards, about a boy who befriends a doctor and kind of inveigles his way in to his family, and then a choice has to be made by Colin Farrell playing the doctor and Nicole Kidman, his wife. Another just fantastic film, unpredictable, which again is good in this day and age, and just beautiful, like another great film. He then directed The Favourite, which I have still to watch, but that has garnered Oscar nominations and Golden Globe nominations, so it will be interesting to see what he does after that, whether he, because also I haven't seen The Favourite, but I don't think it's as challenging a watch as his previous work, so it will be interesting to see what he does after The Favourite, whether he goes down, which path he's going to take to go back to doing his more challenging work, or down that deadly path to mainstream city. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments below who I've forgotten or who I should check out, and let me know who you think might turn out to be a great director looking back 10, 15, 20 years from now, because I would be interested to hear what you think. So thank you very much for watching. Episode 2 of my director series will be under review, the directors that I can't really make a decision on, but I have seen a couple of their films, or I have a pile of their films in my backlog. So that will be episode 2 of the director series. And thank you very much for watching, and hope you have a good day. This is Saul Ronan saying farewell.